In this video, we're covering peacock hurl, eyes, swords, strung hurl, and like fake peacock. Yeah. Get this vice out of the way. So before we dive into this peacock hurl video, I've got a quick little announcement to make. For the first time in like 18 months, I will be speaking to a group and doing a tying class. If you're in the Memphis area, I will be speaking to Mid-South Fly Fishers on November 2nd. And then the next day, they are sponsoring me to do a tying class at High Cotton Brewery in Memphis. There are still some seats open for the tying class. So this is when I need you guys to say, okay, we're gonna book the rest of the seats. But no, it'll be a cool tying class, obviously at a brewery. We're gonna tie my weighted knucklehead. Yeah, that's what we're gonna tie. I hope to see you there. Make sure you introduce yourself, please, because yeah, it's fun to meet you guys. So in the previous video, I asked you to shoot me some ideas on what you'd like to see in these tying. Then I would throw all those comments into a random number generator and pick a winner for like some flies or something. So the comment that won for this video is Sean Rockwell. And actually he mentioned something about dumbbell eyes and how to like create heads around them and stuff like that. I'm actually going to do a two-part video on dumbbell eyes starting in the next video. So yeah, stick around for that one. That's going to be a good one. If you subscribe, you'll already know when it comes out. Just saying. So we're going to do the same thing in this video. Like the video and leave a comment, and I'll randomly pick a comment and send you some flies or stickers or something. So yeah, it's kind of fun. So peacock hurl. I love peacock hurl. It's probably a little bit more sentimental for me because this is the first material that I really learned how to tie a nymph with. I didn't dub bodies. I didn't do that. My fly tying mentor took me straight to peacock hurl, and I tied prince nymphs like you wouldn't believe. I mean, if you really think about it, besides tinsel, peacock hurl was like the first material that was kind of shiny and bright and had that shimmery effect in the water, and it's all natural. It's 100% natural. This stuff is really cool, and there are a lot of tips that we're going to cover that are going to help you tie with this stuff because it can be finicky. So we're going to start off with what I would consider is the most widely used part of all of this stuff we're going to show you today, and that's just the regular hurl.
What do you do if every time you see this one incredible woman, you think you're going to hurl? I say hurl.
Okay, so when I think of peacock hurl, I think of the strung hurl. And by strung, I mean it's on a string. It just helps contain it. Strung peacock hurl comes in a lot of colors, believe it or not, which seems really weird if you really think about it, because it's all green. But manufacturers dye it to give it different hues, and it really does make a big difference. So we have orange, purple, red, and the color that I probably use the most, bright green. And you can literally tell the difference in these things. Like, they are different colors. Strung peacock hurl is probably the most widely used, and it really does cover a lot of bases. You can use it on like prince nymphs, dry flies, salmon and steelhead flies, collars for soft hackles. So some tips on tying with this stuff. In the bucktail video, you heard me talk about the Goldilocks and the Three Bears type of scenario where you have, you know, the one part that's good for something, the middle part's good for everything, and the bottom part's good for very little. Peacock hurl is almost exactly like this. The tips of peacock hurl are brittle. Like, they just break. The butt ends of peacock hurl are just too thick. Instead of being pliable, they want to kind of break in two, like a hard break, and we don't want that either. So what's usually going to happen is this top part, this top, I don't know, top quarter is going to be really brittle and break on you real easy. So when you tie it in, you start to wrap it and it's going to break and it's going to frustrate you. Trust me. The bottom part is just too bulky. You don't get, there's too much stem in it, and it doesn't work with you. It wants to kind of be jagged and break on you and stuff like that. It holds its stability, like it'll stay together and not break like the top end, but it just doesn't work. So you have the top quarter that's not any good, and you have the bottom quarter that's not real good either. So you have the middle half that is this Goldilocks and the Three Bears type of area, and that's where I'm always going to stay. One of the other things you're going to run into is inconsistencies in the material itself. Just because it's a natural material, it's going to have inconsistencies. There are going to be some shorter ones, there are going to be some longer ones. You can tell there's some real short fibers in there compared to these real long ones. We need to weed these out to where they're all the same length. We're looking for something like that. And then you can take these and find the breaking section of them. Good to go. Tie that in and start your prints. So there are several ways to use Peacock Hurl. You can tie it in and just wrap it. You can put it in a dubbing loop and like spin it all together, which that kind of requires a special tool to do just right. But I think the easiest way to do it is to almost do a dubbing loop, but you're just gonna wrap it. I'll just show you. So I'm gonna start off by pulling some thread, doubling it over just like you would a dubbing loop. So you have this thread that we're going to use to wrap around our Peacock Hurl. We're just going to put that over to this side. Now I have some hurl here that I already took the top brittle portion off of. I'm going to tie it in. So now I have the Peacock Hurl and the thread. And literally all I'm going to do is bring them together, and using a pair of hackle pliers or something like that, I'm literally just going to twist this stuff all together. And we're going to make a rope out of our Peacock Hurl. And then you can literally just wrap this forward. As you wrap, sometimes you'll have to stop and twist a little bit more just to get that good rope back on it. And you've got a great, pretty strong body for like a prince or something. Now, I will always recommend you rib it. I will always recommend that you run ribbing up the body just to make it that much stronger. But this in and of itself is really strong. Ribbit. Gosh, dad jokes are flying today, guys. I'm just gonna have to sweep that up later. I don't know why I always do that. So next we're gonna talk about eyes. But eyes are pretty self-explanatory. I mean they literally look like eyes. They're eyes. So on eyes always comes a little bit of Peacock Hurl. It just always does. Most of the time it's kind of the shorter stuff, and it's just not overly usable. Look, what we're really talking about is from about this part up. So all this. The eye is also the part that you'll see Pat Cohen use for tails on some of his museum quality deer hair realistic flies. If you haven't seen these things, I probably have a picture already up. This guy's a genius. And by the way, I really want to get a tattoo from him, like really bad. The main thing that you're going to see the peacock eyes and like the quills used for is for stripping quills. Now I'm not going to go through that process because that's a big process and I'm not overly good at it. But whenever you're talking about stripping peacock quills, you're kind of talking about these right here, like here and here. You can kind of get into here, but it's not exactly the same. But the stem is what you're looking for. You want to take all the pretty off of it, and and they tie a really cool segmented body on a little nymph or something like that. That's the main use of the eye part of the peacock, but I'm gonna throw something else at you. Just like almost everything in fly fishing that is natural, there's a synthetic remake of it that is not exactly the same. It's not. It doesn't have the exact same characteristics and stuff like that. But when it comes to just segmenting a fly with something real easy and a gradient, like a gradient type of segment instead of like a hard ribbed segment on just like a pretty gradient segment on a fly, I think there's an easier way to do it than to strip all the eyes and stuff like that. And that's synthetic quills. Yeah, it's a lot easier. There's actually 20 quills, well, I mean, quills on these sheets. They're already pre-tapered. So when you peel them off, so you can see they're already pre-tapered. So like they're thicker on one end than they are on the other end. That allows you to create a good profile on the fly. They're basically like a vinyl sticker that's colored and you just peel them off, tie them down. So what's really cool is they are sticky on the back, like sticky. So whenever you wrap it down, it actually kind of sticks on itself just a little bit, so it doesn't want to unravel. It's so easy, so easy. So probably what most people would consider the redheaded stepchild of, can I say that? I don't think I can say that. I think what most people would consider the outcast of all the peacock feathers is the swords. The swords are like they have a right and a left feather. They make like this fringy part under the big fan wing thing. I think they are hands down the prettiest part of the peacock. The colors are crazy vibrant. They've got such rich color to them. Yeah, they're pretty. I think most people will agree that about the only thing you're going to use these for is a tail of some kind. A tail on a nymph, maybe a throat on a steelhead or salmon fly, something like that. You're not going to wrap this on a hook. They're too short. It's going to be a tailing material of some sort. One thing you'll notice is everything about peacocks are aesthetically pleasing. They're beautiful. So like I said before with Pat Cohen, he uses the eyes as some tails on some of his sculptures of deer hair, basically. I've seen swords used on mahi-mahi looking flies. Coolest thing ever. I'll link Pat Cohen and his Instagram and all that stuff in the description of this video. Go check those guys out. They're artists, literally artists. So to kind of wrap up this video, there are a lot of uses for peacock hurl. It can be a little frustrating to work with at times, but if you'll use that first tip of using the middle half and ribbing it and and making a rope out of it. This stuff is absolutely awesome. It creates a great taper for you automatically. You just can't beat a natural material. Most of the time.